With how fast-paced life is today, 1 minute can feel like 10 seconds. We can do work, schedule, contact friends globally, all while ordering groceries from one single device. It's both incredible and actually kind of scary. The one thing that mellows us out, keeps us in the moment, and keeps us present is music. Music is a form of expression, it's communication, it's art. How you play back the music can be just as important as how you've captured it. Garrard Turntables is a company that's just about 100 years old, and they're still being made with the same precision standards, all in England. A lot of you watching this video are probably familiar with the Garrard name, or even the most famous Garrard turntable, the 301. There's an exclusive history behind it, all dating back to the 1700s. This is the evolution of Garrard turntables. Starting in the 1700s, Garrard and Company was known for machining some of the finest jewelry for kings, queens, princesses, any royal across the world that needed something. They're also known for beautiful awards and trophies for sporting events and other luxury products like silverware. Garrard and Company started in London and is still in London Mayfair today with the same royal fitting room. Fast forward to the 1900s, World War I started, war with Germany, and a lot of artillery rangefinder precision instruments were needed. Garrard and Company was the first to be requisitioned by the government to make these fine precision instruments. They took over a bunker, a laundry establishment, because it had to be a secret operation where they moved in their machinery, all the workers, and they started getting to work. Once the war ended, a few workmen were left. Craftsmen from the jewelry company were still there, and some of the machinery. This is when they officially became Garrard Engineering. They wanted to keep making precision parts. They needed to find someone that could overlook the entire establishment, and they found someone called Mr. H.V. Slade. H.V. Slade had a few patented designs, and he overlooked the factory and started motor developments. During this time, the gramophone was also a massive form of entertainment in home or otherwise. And mostly furniture manufacturers were producing the gramophones. They were making the cabinets and they were outsourcing all the technical bits like the horn, the tonearm, the motors. But importing those products were less than ideal. They weren't as reliable, they didn't have the quality standards that most people required. So HV found a gap in the British manufacturing industry. He started to design and perfect the motor for the electrically driven gramophone. Once he did that, he shopped it around, someone picked it up, and then his business started booming. So he needed to expand himself. This is when they found Swindon. There was a factory in Swindon. It was centrally located. It was easily accessible. It was off the Great Western Railway, and there was a lot of female laborers around. There's a place still in Swindon today called the Museum and Art of Swindon, where you can find over 120 Garrard items. By this time, we actually introduced someone called Edmund Mortimer. He was the youngest starting Garrard engineering employee, and he grew to be the oldest and long-standing Garrard engineering employee of 51 years. After improvements and development, this is when HV Slade and Garrard Engineering came out with the Model 201. This was a single-speed record changer. You'll see the Model 201 in radio stations. It was used in US cinemas and very well known with other audiophiles. When the Second World War hit, there was, again, another need for precision instruments. The government took over, Garrard was making those instruments for them, and the only products that they were able to make was anything for military entertainment. That was the demand. So once the US entered the war, the demand only increased for that. During this time, they were also capable of developing prototypes for single record changer. And this is when you start to see the models like the Model S, the RC30, RC70, and RC80 come out. Because the 201 and the record player at the time was only single speed, they needed something that was 3-speed, as shellac, 78s, all of those started coming out. So this is when you start to see the Model 301 Transcription record player come out. It was 33.3, 45, and 78, had all those capabilities. When the 301 came out, it gained a lot of attention, and it was played in the Festival Hall in London, where then the US got a hold of it, and it started becoming reviewed in technical magazines, and then eventually it was demonstrated in New York City's Carnegie Hall, where the audience had a hard time deciphering between the 301 and the live performance. It was that good.
Well, the history of the 301 is very important, but this is a product for people to enjoy today, not to look at just in terms of nostalgia. People like me like to think we're fairly important in the musical chain, because there's a lot of occasions where you can't sit down and listen to Sibelius' 7th Symphony on a Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. The more transparent the equipment is, the more accurate it is, the happier I'm going to be. You can't get that kind of consistency without extreme attention to detail in the mechanics. We serve a purpose, and it's a musical purpose, not just a sonic one. And we have responsibility to respect the performance and the music. As far as sound quality is concerned, I'd really quite like to try and forget about it. I don't want it to sound as though it's been manipulated by the equipment. I want it to feel that it's been enabled by the equipment. And if you're going to listen to vinyl and you want the hairs to come up on the back of your neck, you need something like a 301. Otherwise it all gets mushed down, and it's very convenient, but everything turns into meatloaf instead of maybe what you were hoping for dinner.
In 1960, Plessey took over Garrard, and Plessey is the British Electronics Defence Telecommunications Company. This is when Garrard developed demonstrators of the novel video disc. As we're kind of progressing with storage, different technologies, Plessey decided they didn't want to invest in this. We fast forward to 1979, and Plessey sold Garrard to Gradiente in Brazil. Series production was all moved to Brazil, while research and development was still done in Swindon. Now we're in the 2000s, 2017, 2018, fast forward a little bit, where Cadence Audio Group acquires Garrard, Loricraft, and the other famous turntable brand, SME. SME is known for their precision belt-driven turntables and some of the best tonearms on the market. We have a marriage of the two brands, SME and Garrard, because you'll find SME tonearms on the Garrard turntable. All of the Garrard parts and development are made in Steyning, England, and we're going to give you the insight into what it takes to build those products.
So this is our coordinate measuring machine. Measures within microns and repeatability of 3 to 4 microns. We're currently checking the Garrard idler wheel, made out of a stainless 304. Firstly, I need to let our CMM machine know the position of the part that I've placed on the grid plate before it goes into its automated sequence. So we're just going to manually check the plane. It's now requesting the OD of the part. And it finally needs the alignment hole to align the whole 3 planes. So it's got its primary information it needs now, so it's gone into automotive mode. For each part in its full program, this would take about 5 minutes. And it's going to its home position. These can be in red if it's out of tolerance, but in this instance, it's all in green. So this is programmed to the drawing. Irrelevant of what goes on the shop floor, every part is checked through this department. It could be tool wear, it could be user error, setter error, machine error. We can tell the operators it's slightly towards the high range of the tolerance. Could you bring it back to mid-range? Or it's totally out of range, something's gone wrong here. It's just a second check, so everyone's in charge of their own quality on the shop floor. I'm a sort of backup, the safety net, in this instance the machine as well.
just filling these arms at the moment. Because of the nature of the material, it's quite porous. So we fill all the holes in, and then once we've done the filling part, we stove it off in the oven for a short while, and then rub all the filler down, and it fills the holes, and then it's ready for a respray again, and it will look great after that.
So we're just going to be putting the Tonearm together for the Garrard. First we insert the harness into the tube, and we use a little tool here just so that we can hook the harness onto it. The Garrard itself has particularly long wires, so this one's quite specific. So I'm just lining up the end here so that I can put the screw in. You have to be really careful with this bit so that you don't actually get any marks onto the Tonearm itself. So that's now fixed in place, this won't move. This is now going to be fitted to the base. But this is now assembled with the wiring that can be then attached to the phono stage.
This is a basic Garrard 301. We take the 301, we strip off all the linkages in the motor, bearing housing, the badges. The linkages are sent and they're stripped of the cabin plating, then they're zinc plated. We take the motor apart, we refurbish all the bearings, then rebuild the motor. So when we start, we'll have the basic chassis, and then we will build onto it. So the motor, the bearing, and all the linkages and the switches will be put back. So when you looked at the first one, this is how it was be finished off with it all rebuilt. So all the motor, all the linkages are they're all back together. Any new parts that we put back on there, all the switches, spark suppressor, has all been replaced. So this is a new resin plinth. On the underside, it's got adjustable feet. On the feet, where they're adjustable, it's got built-in isolation as well. On the Garrard 301, you've got strobing on the outside to indicate the speed when you put a light across it. And then you've got the Garrard 301 mat that sits on top. So it's on 33, so we turn it on, and with the laser, we shine the laser towards the platter, and you've got 3 speed marks on there, so it's on the bottom line, and we can, if it's not on speed, we can slow it down to bring it round onto speed. So 301 Advanced has an SME 12-inch arm. So the arm sits in that position. And then we take the 4 fixing screws, release the arm clamp, position, and now it's ready for setup with a cartridge. And that is the setup for the Advanced 301.
So while the trend of rebuilding these turntables has been around for decades, getting it from the manufacturer who's testing, manipulating, measuring all of these parts to work from day one to 100 years from now, outliving you, is remarkable. And we still, to this day, work with the same rubber manufacturer in Waterlooville, Southbourne Rubber, who is really well known for making bespoke aerospace grade parts.
Southbourne Rubber. We're going to see an idler wheel being pressed. So once Adam's cut the blank up, what he will do now is load the blank into the tool. Now all the blanks loaded into the inserts, into the tool, he will put the lid back on. So the tool will go back into the press now. He will close the press. So this is the temperature that it's going to cure the rubber, and the time is going to cure for 8 minutes, 480 seconds. The rest of the press is automatic. It will do its bumps itself. Once the vacuum's complete, the hood will lift up like that. That's the vacuum done. This will go down to 480 seconds. Once that meets 480 seconds, the press will automatically open. So, there we are.
Yeah, that's like 380.
So now what he's doing is just removing the excess flash. And this one, he'll probably have to use the air to remove it. So there you go, just pops up like that.
So something that I was just a little bit curious about, Garrard's been manufactured and there's hundreds of them all over the world. And so we're collecting up these parts, and I was just trying to figure out, you know, I don't think there's one maybe single tolerance for something like a part like the idler wheel, for instance. So when we come to you guys and say, you know, we need this part, but can't necessarily provide, I don't know, accurate measurements or the drawings for it, like how does that look to you?
So what we would do is we'd essentially take that part, draw it up, do a design engineered drawing behind that, submit it for your review, and then go through the MPI stages. So that would involve sampling to make sure that the fit form function of that part is correct. It gives you the performance you need for your turntables.
Yeah.
You would test trial and error. That would then come back to us, whether there's a few tweaks or changes needed. And we'd either make those or the idle wheel's completely fine, and we'd produce against a new released drawing for yourselves.
Yeah, I think it's really unique, our two companies working together, and like the capabilities of being able to have a company like you guys reverse engineer our products to then make sure that we're having that consistency throughout the manufacturing process, and then all the new Garrards that are coming out on the market. Because what's interesting about our industry is that sometimes we might not know why it's not working, but we can hear it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, well, with us working against the original parts, which you give to us, enables us to reverse engineer against those original components.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously you've touched on, you've got those people worldwide who are reverse engineering against kind of sometimes unknown components, or just making against what should fit. Whereas we're taking those originals and reverse engineering against those which are the closest like for like Garrard parts you can get on the market.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable and very, very important for the rebuild of this turntable, because it is, in a general sense, the best turntable on the market. So why buy a Garrard turntable? You're getting a piece of history, you're getting proper engineering, and you're getting something that sounds so close to the live performance. Let us take care of you and build your forever turntable system. There is no substitute for a Garrard made in Stenning, England.